The best thing that you can really bring to the table is you, like the most confident version of yourself.
Welcome to Hey Awesome Girl. I'm your host, Tivi Jones. I'm founder and CEO of the seven-figure company, Hey Awesome Girl. I'm dog mom to Olivia, the cutest little dog on the planet. And it is my mission to empower the most marginalized, celebrate women, all women, and amplify BIPOC and queer voices. Every week, we interview amazing bosses from every walk of life to discover how we as a community can increase our confidence, close racial and gender wealth gaps, and provide a means of true freedom for all girls around the world. Today, you'll meet Latonya Williams, who is a Canadian actor based out of Vancouver, who has over 50 credits in film and television. She is best known for her work in Lifetime's hit Christmas trilogy, Merry Liddle Christmas, Merry Liddle Christmas Wedding, and Merry Liddle Christmas Baby. My faves, anyone who knows me knows those are my jam. You may have also seen her in a plethora of sweet Hallmark movies, or recurring on Netflix's Travelers, or popping up in Always Be My Maybe. Latonya is a confident, fun-loving, and passionate woman with her heart set on igniting existential change and creating heaven on earth. That's Olivia making noise. This is a really great episode. I know you'll love it. We talk about confidence, showing up as yourself, finding your purpose in life, and so much more. Get ready to be inspired. Hi, Latonya. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Tivi. Pleasure to be here.
Yay. Thank you so much for joining me today. I reached out to you because I was really drawn to your work. There's something about your spirit. But for people who don't know who you are, just tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
All right. Well, I am Latonya Williams. I am an actor. I'm based out of Vancouver. I do a lot of work in Hallmark movies, in Lifetime movies. If you've seen me acting, it's probably in the Merry Liddle Christmas series where I play sisters with Kelly Rowland and Brisha Webb and our mamas Debbie Morgan and a bunch of other wonderful, amazing characters from both LA and Vancouver. And there's so much to say. What else could I say? That's my career background.
Yeah. I mean, what else do you want to say? Do you want to share any other parts of who you are?
I mean, far back would you like to go? Well, I was a science girl. I went to university. I studied molecular biology and biochemistry. I
Hold up.
Yeah.
So she's smart.
I played all kinds of sports in high school, but it was academics that brought me to university. I ended up on like academic scholarships and was really into science back then. Really wanted to
Yeah.
figure out exactly how the human body worked at a very teeny tiny level. So that's what I did. And then I ended up picking up a business major halfway through because I really wanted to become a dermatologist, but do you know how long it takes to become a dermatologist?
I don't. Is it
Like
pretty
15
rigorous?
years. Like
Holy.
a long time. You got to do your undergrad, you got to do med school, and you also have to do specialist school and all of that. It's like about almost 15 years. So,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So, and I really wanted to be a dermatologist because when I was a kid, I had terrible skin. Really, really bad skin. So I wanted to
Oh,
help
wow.
kids, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
with bad skin, but it
Mm-hmm.
didn't work out that way. I figured there's got to be another way I can spread joy and love in this world, and this is where I ended up.
How did you so as you were talking, of course my
Hmm.
mind, this is how my mind works. Like I start making connections. I'm like, oh, she was studying the human body. Now she does acting, which is a reflection of the human experience. So there's a connection there. But that's how my
Yeah.
brain
Oh
works.
yeah. I see you.
But
Yeah, that matrix is flowing.
right. Thank you. How did you get started with acting?
Well, it was actually in my last year of university. So, as I mentioned, I ended up switching course halfway through. Well, not switching course because I did finish the science degree, but I also picked up a business major as well because I thought,
Mm.
well, I'm gonna meld the two. I'll be a pharmaceutical sales rep. That was my big
Mm-hmm.
idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then it ended up not being really something for me because I started sort of diving into like I started learning about kind of how unethical some of the pharmaceutical industry
Mm.
and some of the pharmaceutical
Mm-hmm.
business can be. So
Yeah.
it really wasn't aligned with who I am. So I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
what to do, and I couldn't find a summer job, and I ended up doing extra work, like
Huh.
on some movie sets,
Uh-huh.
background work. So I
Yeah.
ended up on a movie set, and I had always wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, and my parents would just never let me. They would not let me. And I'm glad they didn't because I ended up being I got to be the well-rounded person that I am today. But when I
Mm-hmm.
was a kid, I really, really wanted to be an actor. So when I found myself on that movie set, it just
Uh-huh.
like started igniting that passion that I kind of must have I
Mm.
had suppressed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in
Mm-hmm.
elementary school, the first play that I ever was in was called King Nebuchadnezzar. It was absolutely hilarious because being the person I was like, well, I'm going for the lead role, which happened to be King Nebuchadnezzar.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I played a man, and that was my first role.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was like, nothing's gonna stop me. I don't care if it's a guy's role. I want the biggest role, and I'm just gonna kill it so that they
Yeah.
have to give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. So, but then I, went on all the kinds of different directions in high school, and
Mm-hmm.
then I ended up back on that set as a background performer, and
Mm.
it all just sort of the juices started flowing. And I don't know if you have you ever done extra work or background work? You've worked in film.
No, not in
No?
that way. I was the
No.
marketing person behind the scenes.
Gotcha. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes they don't treat the extras that well. Sometimes.
Oh.
Like sometimes it's like, because TV, it's such a high stress environment
Yeah.
sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and that stress can really trickle down in the background.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the last people that really ends up taking the brunt of it sometimes. So
Yeah.
I just remember looking at the principal actor and being like, I just want to be that girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I finished my degree, and that's what I did. I was
Wow.
like, I really actually want to be that girl. So I got an agent after university, and I
Mm-hmm.
got myself a serving job so that I could work nights and audition during the
Mm.
day.
Okay.
And that's how I got my start. I had
Wow.
zero experience.
That is, first of all, that's amazing. So, my younger sister is an actress. She was
Hmm.
on season one of the show. She's been in several things. She lives in Atlanta. She was a regular on an NBC show last
Cool.
year.
Good for her.
And so, thank you on her behalf. I always admire that craft because it really is a craft. And I'm curious to know, like, were there certain things that you wish you knew when you first started that you know now?
Yes, absolutely. Like there's because when you're learning, you get into these acting classes and you really start
Mm-hmm.
trying to impress the teacher or
Mm.
impress when you get into that casting director situation, you really want to impress them. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of you almost lose yourself at the very beginning as an actor
Mm.
because you forget that the best thing that you could really bring to the table is you, like the most
Mm.
confident version of yourself that's
Mm-hmm.
not at all trying to be something else, even though you are, yes, creating a character. But I mean, I really just inject me into all of my
Mm.
characters instead of trying to
Mm.
create this facade of something that's not authentic to me, because I think for me anyways, not being a like an extremely like I'm not playing the Joker or anything, so it's
Right.
just been so much more beneficial
Mm-hmm.
to find that confidence within myself and not be constantly looking outside of myself for approval and other
Mm-hmm.
people like my teachers and casting directors, and having that determine how I felt about myself and the confidence that I brought to the table.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I so that really resonates with me for two reasons. One, as someone who uh is a recipient of your craft, loved the Merry Liddle Christmas series. I'll admit I was watching Trina on the screen, you portraying Trina, and I'm like, I feel her. She's a middle child. She's always the responsible one. Like, of course, the middle child in me is like rearing up.
Girl, I
So
hear you. I'm a middle child.
that it came across.
Yeah.
Okay, it definitely came across. And then the
Yeah.
second thing for me as a marketing communications professional, I know that mostly we work mostly work with brands. Sometimes solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, etc. But the best marketing positioning is when you take who you naturally are and share that with the world. Like that's your secret sauce. That's the key to
Hmm.
standing out and really making an impact as a brand is being your authentic self. So
Yes.
love, 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 love what you said and very happy to hear that you bring that into the work that you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a journey. We got
Yeah.
there, though.
Yeah. Well, that's important. Well, let's
Hmm.
talk about that journey a little bit. What have been some of the biggest wins of your career and what did you learn from them?
Some of the biggest wins, I mean, booking Merry Little Christmas was a really big win for sure. Just because, I mean, Kelly Rowland. You want to know what's funny? When I was a kid, and I don't know if that's because I grew up in Vancouver where there's not a ton of black people, but when I was a kid, people told me that I looked like Kelly Rowland. And yes, I know. But it's just
Uh-huh.
really funny that I grew up to
Mhm.
play her sister.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
right? And I mean, I've always looked up to like I mean, Destiny's Child was
Yeah. Iconic.
everything when I was a kid. So, not even a kid. I'm not that much younger than her. So, like, they were just everything. So
Yeah.
it was a really big highlight for
Mm.
me. And what are some of the other highs? I mean, just starting to book supporting leads and starting to
Mm.
book those leads consistently.
Mhm.
That was like leveling up in my career, right? Because like I've
Yeah.
always been quite busy and I've been on a lot of shows, but like getting to that level and being able to trust in that consistency, and then when the audition comes across my table, I'm like, oh, I know I can book this. Like
Yeah.
it's been nice to develop that level of confidence in myself and that trust in,
Mhm.
in my ability and to be a successful actress and a
Yeah.
working actress, because that can, if you're not booking consistently, that can lead to a lot of insecurities,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
So I always knew that there's going to be something around the corner, so that's definitely been a positive for me because not all actors really can say that.
Yeah. I want to dig into that. Like how do you maintain that confidence?
I mean, I've got a pretty good track record, so
Yeah.
I there's
Right.
that, but
The
like I
evidence
mean,
shows.
yeah. But like I mean, aside from that, because I mean, I say that, but there's been large portions of time where you don't book anything, and yes, it
Mm,
does take a level of just confidence in. And I think what it is that, especially recently, I have interests in other things, and I'm not just singularly focused all
mm,
the
mm-hmm.
time just on acting.
Right.
So that allows me to not even just for money, but like for just having other passions has
Mm-hmm.
allowed me
Mm-hmm.
to just not really sit into that energy
Mm-hmm.
of, ooh, it's been a long time. Like
Yeah.
I don't really dwell in that energy because I've
Mm-hmm.
got so much other things going on that
Yeah.
it all just sort of it works out, and then it takes it, and you do need to look at those limiting thoughts and beliefs. And I do a
Mm,
lot of
mm-hmm.
writing to
Mm, mm-hmm.
face those thoughts, see where they're coming from. I also work with this software called Techno Tutor, where it's
Mm.
enabled me to, once I've sort of deprogrammed my thoughts with my writing, I'm able to like reprogram myself with thoughts that really do serve me, and
Mm.
integrate those thoughts into my physical body. So it's like it becomes like second nature, and it becomes automated.
I would love to learn more about that. Tell me about this software. How did you discover it? All of that.
Well, I started working with it because my dad actually started this company, and I've been using it for years now to learn my lines,
Hmm.
but I never really started using it from a self-help personal development standpoint. Because
Mm-hmm.
my dad's telling me that I can use this software. It's going to be great. I mean, there's people all over the world that have been using the software that have had amazing results, but
Uh huh.
it's my dad, so I'm just like, okay,
Right.
dad, cool.
Yeah, that. Mm-hmm.
Right?
My dad's watching this like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, right?
Sorry, Dad.
So I booked Merry Liddle Christmas, and it kind of unearthed some like kind of really deep rooted insecurities within me,
Mm.
because all of a sudden I've always been a very confident person,
Yeah.
but now I'm in the room with the likes of Kelly Rowland
Uh huh.
and Brisha Webb
Uh
and
huh.
Debbie Morgan,
Uh huh.
and I got to make sure that I'm showing up, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and everybody has those little thoughts like, am I enough? Like,
Yeah.
will do I measure up? And
Mm.
so that is what sort of sent me down this, like, I need to find a way to deal with those insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they've kind of been there all along. I just never really looked at them or had a
Right.
reason to really like want to really quickly level up my game, because I need to
Mm-hmm.
happen now. It
Right.
needs to happen now.
Oh, we got
Like,
we got to do this now o'clock. Like it's
yeah.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is
Shoot.
level up needed to happen yesterday? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's when I start, and I feel like it really shows it in my performance throughout the years, like with between the
Mm.
first movie and the last movie. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
what I've been told from like the producers of the
Mm-hmm.
show. Like, it's just the way I've my confidence had risen precipitously throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like, so if we want to let's talk about this. Let's talk about the software.
Yeah.
Really, at the basis of it, it's it's a way to build your vocabulary. And vocabulary, when I say that, it kind of just sounds like a way of learning fancy words, but
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary is so much more than that. It's your comprehension and your
Mm.
reasoning
Mm-hmm.
capacity and your communication efficacy.
Mm-hmm.
And from your vocabulary flows everything that you are able to do and
Right.
perceive, and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's like the basis of our relationships,
Mm-hmm.
right? They always say that it's all in who you know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if, language is the basis of our relationships,
Mm.
then it really ends up being, it's all in the words that you know. And
Mm.
not just the words that you know, but making sure that you have the right meaning associated with that word, which means
Right.
that the word isn't triggering you into an
Mm-hmm.
emotional response.
Mm-hmm.
And working with this tool, it enables you to like depolarize the words. Sometimes words have like a positive or negative
Mm-hmm.
charge associated with
Yep.
them that trigger you, right?
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a way for me that I've used to depolarize the words so that you can be
Mm.
confident in situations. You can get rid of those trigger words.
Mm-hmm.
I can program in thoughts that I really want to have into this
Mm-hmm.
into this software, and then into me. By physically
Mm-hmm.
integrating it into my body, it becomes automated.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's been incredible, the difference that it's the impact that it's had on my life.
Mm. You talked about so many things that are like good triggers for me. So many good things. I'm really curious. Obviously, we live on Earth. Everything's not going to be great all the time. How do you keep yourself motivated during difficult times or when you're having challenging moments?
I keep myself motivated by having purpose,
Mm,
finding that purpose in my life where I know that if I'm able to have an impact on, I mean, first of all, change myself in a positive
mm-hmm.
way, and
Yeah.
then be that example of somebody who is living their highest potential, I can have an effect on other people. And having that purpose kind of keeps me going,
Yeah.
and I want to be able to influence other people to, you know, find that change within themselves. And then at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
we need to be able to educate the next generation. That's what it
Right.
comes down to, really. It's the kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's been my purpose. And I want to have kids soon, so one day or soonish.
Yeah.
So having that in mind, knowing that I want to educate myself in the best possible way so that I'll be able to educate them in the best possible way
Yeah.
is kind of what keeps me going.
I love that. Do you have any tactical advice for folks when it comes to, say, what if they don't feel like they know what their purpose is? What if they suspect they know? Do you have any tips for them?
To find your purpose, well, like
Mm-hmm.
figure out. I think one tactical advice would be to not make it so much of just about yourself, because I find there's so much more purpose to be found in what you can offer to other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if there's some way that you can find to build up yourself so that you can build up others, or that
Yes.
you can contribute to your community or
Yeah.
contribute to your family, I think that
Mm-hmm.
will be a lot easier for you to find a purpose. But also don't lose yourself within that purpose, because you
Right.
need to be able to support yourself in order
It's
to
a
be the best possible version for them.
Yeah, it's a bit of a balance.
Absolutely.
I know you mentioned earlier journaling. How do you use writing with your personal growth process?
Well, I've developed a system in my writing where I'm able to really just first of all become aware and like look at and investigate and dismantle and deprogram those like
Mm,
very deep-rooted limiting thoughts.
mm-hmm.
And by looking at where those thoughts might have come from and taking a look at my past and then sort of walking myself out of the child that I was and those thoughts that I
Oof.
had, the thoughts that I had
Yes.
developed while being a child,
Yes.
and making realizations, new realizations, but then
Mm-hmm.
making new commitments to not allow myself to go into those thought patterns again. And then
Yes.
the true test is really living those commitments, right? Because those thoughts
Ooh.
will come up again,
Yes.
but you got to have develop that awareness
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
really live that commitment in the present moment.
Yeah. Oof. That
Yeah,
inner
so
child
that's how.
work. It is.
Mm,
Every day I struggle with little Tivy. Like I'm like
yes,
let me work on her a little bit. How is she showing up in this
absolutely.
moment?
Well,
Whew.
yeah, right? Because we kind of are, we program ourselves from a very
Mm-hmm.
young age, and that program just starts running
Yep.
automatically
On
in the
autopilot.
background.
Yep.
Exactly, until
Mm-hmm.
you face it, until you write it
Yeah.
out. And that's why writing really, really helps, because in your mind is just this like massive
Mm-hmm.
amount of
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and words and systems and symbols that are floating around. But and you can think about so many different things at the same time,
Right.
but once you write it, it makes you come up with one thing, one linear thought
Mm-hmm.
process.
Mm-hmm.
So it just really focuses all your energy into one thing, and then you can really clarify your goals and your opinions and your thoughts.
Yeah.
So I mean, anybody who's a good speaker is a writer,
Yeah.
so they say.
I believe
So
that.
yeah, yeah.
That's a really good point. So I'm in a life coaching certification program right now, and one of the things they had us do as part of the program is write out some of the negative things that we typically only think to ourselves. And I
Hmm.
will say that exercise was so powerful for me. I've always loved journaling and writing in general, but actually seeing the negative things that I say to myself and not just thinking them like automatically on a
Yeah.
loop, it made me like, hold up, girl. Like, like I wouldn't say this to my worst enemy. Like, and there was
Yes,
something about seeing it written in my handwriting. It made me realize how real and insidious those words are that I'm thinking to myself more often than I would
absolutely.
like to admit.
Absolutely. I was you said it. I was gonna be like, and don't you think how once you see it, doesn't it just look ridiculous?
Crazy. Crazy.
It's like, what? This is not true.
Right.
Like,
None of this.
right?
Like, have I
None
really
of this
been
is
holding on to
true.
this for this long and thinking this about
Yes,
myself? Yeah,
absolutely. It's crazy.
it's
But like
wild.
that's the thing, you gotta write it out with no judgment. Like you can't judge
Right.
yourself for saying it, otherwise you won't
Mm-hmm.
write it.
Right.
And but then you gotta look at it and be like,
Mm-hmm.
what the?
Right. Right. I'm gonna stop this immediately. Like, I was getting defensive for myself. Like, how dare you talk to you like this? Like,
Good, you should.
I love that. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. I want to
Okay,
talk about pleasure, ease, and abundance. Like, that is
all right.
a big thing at Hey Awesome Girl. We love talking about pleasure, ease, and abundance. How are you cultivating those in your life?
All right. Well, pleasure. I cultivate pleasure and ease. I mean, all three at the same time, or just all specifically?
Whatever you
Let's
feel called to talk
whatever
about.
happens. Okay, in my life, girl, I love to cook. I have a ton of food sensitivities, which
Okay.
has actually led me down this path of becoming like I mean, I'm a city girl, so I wasn't really cooking that much
Uh huh.
prior to these allergies coming to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
But now I cook all the time. And
Yeah.
it's I have to be pretty creative and like
Mm.
make substitutions and find a way to make something taste amazing even though
Mm-hmm.
it's not doesn't have this or that.
Uh huh.
And I'm I gotta say I'm a pretty damn good cook now.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. So I love to cook. I love to spin, like
Mm-hmm.
spin classes. You ever go to
Mm-hmm.
spin class?
Yep.
Love spin. Yeah, I love so just like exercising. I actually do like hiking. I feel like that's a pretty faux pas thing to say. I just love to get in the mountains.
I like hiking too. I mean, we don't
Okay.
have mountains right nearby here in North Carolina, but there are
Right?
mountains in North Carolina.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm in Vancouver, so there are mountains. There are
Mm-hmm.
mountains everywhere. So, I mean, and in Vancouver, you can be on the beach, and then 30 minutes later, you could be in a mountain. So,
I need to visit Vancouver. Let me add it to my list.
you come on over. Don't live here, though. The prices are too high.
Uh, I bet. I bet.
Yeah, but I love to hit the beach. I love to get out into the wilderness,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's, I mean, ease comes from just sort of settling into where I'm at in my life now and,
Mm.
be happy, like doing my writing and
Mm-hmm.
relaxing and, a little bit more calm than things were a few years ago. I'd say, I mean, before I was still, when I was working in the restaurants, I'd say my pleasure would be found at a nightclub for sure.
Mm. I've been there.
Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah. Been there?
It's part of
Are
the journey.
we are we still there, Tivi?
N- I mean, no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay, okay.
I do love a good dance party. Like,
Yeah,
say, like a
yeah.
safe space dance party, like moving your body around good friends, good energy, like no like nightclubby type of like pressure or sort of predatory situations, if that makes
Predatory.
sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love a good dance party now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to hit up Coachella like every single year.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I
What
love
is that like? I've never been to Coachella.
Coachella. It's just like this wonderful fairyland in the desert where like you're just running around and there's shows all day long and you're just
Mm-hmm.
kind of dehydrated and and just having a great time with your girlfriends. Like I never camped
Yeah.
though. I could not. That's I feel like that's a good way to die. Like music festival campsite. I don't know how people do it, but
Uh-uh.
yeah, Coachella is always the vibe for me. I loved it.
What are you looking forward to, in the next 12 months of life?
Well, 12 months, like honestly, things happen to change for me so much. Like you never know. I
Mm-hmm.
live a pretty like spontaneous lifestyle, but finding some security or no, some routine in that is nice for me. In the next 12 months, I'll probably continue it. I'll still be auditioning. I've got an audition in like a couple hours actually that I gotta do. But who knows? Maybe we'll be filming more movies. Never, you know what? I should
Yeah.
say that. Yeah. Well, I'm sure I'll be filming more movies between now and then,
Mm-hmm.
and just like starting to really find my voice in with promoting real education and really starting to find that sort of niche for myself will
Mm-hmm.
be something I'm working towards in the next 12 months. So yeah,
Awesome.
hopefully get more kids working with TechnoTutor and just
Mm-hmm.
spread the word so that we can start creating a better world.
Yeah, I love that. This has been so wonderful. I've loved this talk. Where can folks find you online if they want to learn more about you?
They can find me on Instagram. I'm Latonya_Williams. There's a link tree on there as well if you did
Mm-hmm.
want to talk more about TechnoTutor. And there's also a link from there to all the rest of my social media. I'm most active on Instagram, but
Mm.
I'm starting to make a little thing on Twitter,
Okay.
maybe a little bit of a thing on TikTok.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I have so enjoyed this chat.
Yeah, this has been great, Tivi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this episode with Latonya Williams. I am just jumping back on to give you this wrap up. So there were so many great things that I loved about this conversation with Latonya. I love her confidence. So if you know anything about me, if you know anything about the book that I'm working on at Hey Awesome Girl about our mission, you know that we see leaning into consulting, leaning into your gifts, having a craft, having something that you're an expert on. We see that as a path to increase your confidence. And I so love how confident Latonya is in her work, in her artistry, in who she is as a person. She also talked about showing up as yourself and the power of that, and also finding purpose in your life. All great lessons that Latonya brought to us in this episode. And so one thing I want you to think about is how can you be more confident? How can you show up more as yourself, whether that be at work or in your home or in your job or even online on social media? What are a couple things that you can do to show up more as yourself in these different arenas? Share your thoughts with us on social media. You can find us at Hey Awesome Girls. Now, if you want to learn more about Hey Awesome Girl and explore our online resources for helping you create a fun, fabulous, and free life, visit heyawesomegirl.com and sign up for email updates from us. I hope I hope you join us for the next episode. So make sure you subscribe to wherever you prefer to watch or listen. And until next time, stay awesome. Hey Awesome You, it's Tivi. So by now you know our social mission at Hey Awesome Girl is to celebrate and empower women, especially women of color, through digital entrepreneurship in the form of consulting. Taking control and building a thriving consultancy is a viable way to increase your income and chip away at gender and racial wealth gaps. And you don't have to be perfect to get started. You just need the right tools to help you build, market, and scale your consulting business. This is why I started the Boss Squad. This is a group consulting and accountability program that gives you the power of our full service agency, the inspiration of a mentorship program, and the motivation of a coaching program all in one, and for a fraction of the cost. Work with a team, our team, that is 100% invested in helping you become a fun, fabulous, and free entrepreneur. Go to heyawesomegirl.com/boss to join our squad.